The Weebill 3 has a new optimized design with improved ergonomics, enabling us to use it in sling mode for longer without feeling exhausted. This improved design is augmented with a new handle that screws into the bottom, giving us more options. The tripod keeps the Weebill 3 upright even under heavy payloads like the Canon EOS R5 with a 50mm f1.2. That's 4.5 pounds of kit to stabilize. The tripod keeps the kit from falling over unless of course you knock it over accidentally or place it on an uneven surface. New to the Weebill 3 is an internal cardioid mic that produces much better audio than the internal mic of any camera. However, it's no replacement for miking up your talent in order to get the best results. Ever caught in low light and need to light up your talent? Well, the Weebill 3 comes with a front light capable of producing 1000 lumens with a variable color temperature. It's more than bright enough in low light to provide sufficient light to separate your talent from the background if they're not more than about 3 feet away. However, larger lenses can block some or all of the light from reaching your subject. The motors have also been upgraded and the weight decreased. The Weebill 3 weighs in at 1.24 kilograms compared to 1.5 kilograms on the Weebill 2 and 1.1 kilograms on the Weebill S. Unlike the Crane 2S that I've been using for many years, the quick release plate doesn't require an Allen key to tighten it. Nothing worse than being out in the field and the quick release plate comes loose and there's no Allen key in sight. But how capable is the Weebill 3? I'm running as fast as I can with the Weebill 3, the Canon R5 and the 50mm f1.2, all while trying to keep the scene framed. There's a slight bounce with each step, but the footage is smooth and not jerky or distracting at all. Once again, but running aggressively, only this time with something the camera can focus on. The Weebill 3 again has no issues, although I'm totally out of breath. This time I'm on a mountain bike. Certainly beats running with camera gear held out front. I've got greater speed, can shoot for longer, and that bounce from running has been eliminated. The setup is giving me smooth cinematic footage. I just have to watch out for that uneven terrain below. With many tree roots to watch out for, I have one hand on the gimbal and the other hand on the left handlebar, gently squeezing the front brake when needed. The Weebill 3 has 6 shooting modes. Pan follow is what I was using when I was running and riding my bike in those previous scenes. The tilt and roll motors are locked, making it ideal for when you're moving fast or when operating from a vehicle. Locked mode is excellent for locking onto a subject or using the Weebill as a tripod on uneven terrain. Move it up or down, left and right, and it's going to stay focused on your subject. Follow mode gives me complete control over the camera movement while smoothing out the footage. Each of these 3 modes can be accessed by pressing the M button once and cycling through the 3 options. 3 more modes can be accessed by pressing the M button twice. POV mode provides 360-degree synchronous movement of all 3 axes, giving you complete control over the pan, tilt, and roll of the camera, giving you more creative options. Vortex, with the camera in tripod mode, rotates the camera up to the sky, giving you a nice rotation, but enter it into sling mode and you get a nice barrel roll. And of course, portrait mode for when you want to shoot vertically for social media. I really can't think of any other reason why most people would want to shoot vertically, as after all, most TVs are hung horizontally in landscape mode. The killer feature of the Weebill 3 is its ergonomics. Sure, every Weebill does improve in the ergonomics to some degree, but they really went an extra step this time by including this handle, this sling arm handle. It bolts right down into the bottom of the Weebill 3 right here, and it doesn't take too long to screw it into place. And when I first got it out of the box, I thought, okay, yeah, it's nice, no big deal. I can hold it this way here. I can hold it like this or like this. But you see, I was just unboxing it. I wasn't really using it. I was just sort of getting a feel for it. It's like when we go to a store and we buy some clothes, we try them on, but it's not till we actually start using them in our daily lives that we really know if they fit our lives properly. Well, when I started shooting the B-roll for this video, this swing arm really came into place. When I was on the bicycle, I was holding onto the handlebars with one hand, and this swing arm, the way it's all balanced, it was amazing. It just felt really good in the hands. The balancing, everything was just perfect. So if you like shooting in swing mode a lot, you're really gonna like this new smart swing handle. It just makes life a whole lot easier. Outside of the ergonomics, what a gimbal like the Weebill 3 provides you with is smooth cinematic footage. A lot of cameras, still hybrid cameras, whether they have IBIS or not, don't react very well to whether you're in motion, if you're walking, let alone running, or even riding a bicycle. The footage can seem rather jerky and unpleasant to watch. Well, a gimbal, even if you're walking or running, smooths out that footage significantly. And while it still moves a little bit, the frame that is, it's not annoying. It's not jerky to the point where it distracts your audience. But I do want to address IBIS for just a moment. Now, this might be your first gimbal that you're looking at getting, or maybe you're aware of this. When you're shooting with a gimbal, make sure you always turn your IBIS off, because what IBIS does is tries to compensate for movement. So that's the main job of the gimbal. And if you leave IBIS on while you're using the gimbal, what will tend to happen is as you move from side to side, initially you'll have that sort of stickiness, and then it'll just kind of jerk, and it just doesn't look smooth and natural. So whatever you do, make sure when you're shooting with a gimbal to turn off your IBIS. And at the very beginning of this video, I forgot to do that. The initial B-roll, I forgot to turn IBIS off. And so I had to edit the video so you didn't see that jerkiness. But in the later scenes, I did remember to turn IBIS off, and so we got a lot smoother footage. So the ergonomics are pretty good, and it can provide you with smooth cinematic footage, but it can also take pretty heavy payloads. I'm shooting with the Canon EOS R5 with a 50mm f1.2, and with a battery, memory cards, everything hooked up. The Weebill 3 was carrying a weight of 4.16 pounds, and it did it without any problems. In the past, with some gimbals, I've actually had problems balancing the R5. It just doesn't have enough room. I have to sort of push it right up against the handle, and it still tilts a little bit. But when balanced and calibrated, it's able to support the weight. I'm happy to say that the Weebill 3 easily handles heavier cameras like the Canon EOS R5 with heavy lenses like the 50mm f1.2. Ease of use is very important to me, and what I like about the Weebill 3 is it only took me about 10 or 15 minutes to get it out of the box, snap everything together, calibrate it, and balance it. 10 to 15 minutes, and I was shooting. So ease of use, it's right up there. However, if this is your first gimbal, it might take you a little bit longer. And what I recommend doing is don't read the manual. Zhiyun, they have a lot of videos on their YouTube site. Follow those videos for balancing, setup, and configuration, including downloading their ZY app. And I think you're going to find it a whole lot easier to set up if this is your first time. One other tip when it comes to calibration and balancing, and this is very, very important because you want to make sure the camera's all set up in the way that you're going to be shooting. So for example, the LCD, you want to have that out. You want to have your lens cap up. You want to have the right lens in. You want to have the battery in, and anything else that you might want to mount on top of the camera. Then you want to balance and calibrate. If you do so before doing that, once you get out in the field and you do all that stuff, you're going to find that the camera needs to be balanced all over again. So what could be done better? Well, I do wish that it had replaceable batteries like the Crane 2S. What's really nice about this is if I forget to charge my batteries up the night before, I just have to put in new batteries and I'm good to go. Whereas with this guy here, I need to spend about 2 hours to charge it up. So having rechargeable batteries that are replaceable would be a big boon, I really think, but we'd probably have to pay a little bit more in price. You can also control your camera through the Weebill 3 by connecting the cables up. The only problem I did notice though, especially on my Canon EOS R5, is the cables got in the way of the LCD, so I didn't have full flexibility of the LCD. So I just basically didn't use the cables. I find it's pretty easy to go ahead and click on the record button on the R5 and to pull focus manually or just to let the autofocus work. So not a huge deal, but if they could somehow engineer that so we didn't have to worry about the LCD getting in the way, I don't know, I think it's kind of a limitation of the camera more so than the Weebill. It would be nice if it had a slightly larger screen here. What I liked about the previous Weebill is it had a much larger flip screen that actually came out. This one here, while it's certainly legible, for those of us a little older in age that need reading glasses, you kind of need to have those reading glasses available when you're actually using this in the field. So if Zhiyun, if you're listening, if you could just go ahead and make that a little bit bigger in future models, for those of us that don't have perfect eyesight, it would really help. I really do like the Weebill 3. I highly recommend it if you're looking at taking your footage to that next level to provide that cinematically smooth footage. I've used the Crane 2S, the Weebill 2, the Weebill S, and the Weebill 3. I've used the Ronin 2. Is it the Ronin 2? I can't remember. It's been so many years. It was their first gimbal that they came out with. And I really love the ergonomics of this. It's just so easy to use, whether you're using it in standard mode, whether you're using it in sling mode. If you're looking at cinematically smooth footage and you're looking at something that's easy to use, that works very well in sling mode, I highly recommend the Weebill 3 from Zhiyun. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.